Good. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining Hindi University. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Like every class, we'll be starting with a new topic in this class. In this class, we are taking a topic called, planning a trip. Planning a trip. And the kind of conversation you have whenever you're planning a trip, primarily in Hindi, right? Because it's long weekend, most of the people are traveling. I thought this would kind of like be a relevant topic for our class. I myself went to New York City, and so I kept thinking about what are kind of things that I can cover in this class. Feel free to use the chat box if you want to include more things. But whenever we are planning, a trip or anything or any event, some of the sentences are let's go to, you can think of a name of the place. Similarly, let's do any activity. So this is kind of a place, this is kind of activity, right? Other things are, when do you plan to go? When are we going? Okay. Um, and then what will we do there? So kind of activities or things you'll be doing to a particular destination you are going, right? Some of the other things is that I plan to cover in this class is how do we plan to go there? How do we plan to go there? And for how many days? And lots of miscellaneous topics. So you'll be seeing a lot of miscellaneous topics as well along with the lecture. So let's start with this one. Let's go to a particular place. Okay. As you can probably see that this is whenever you are saying let's go to a particular place, like the verb is pretty clear, to go, which is jana. It's pretty clear that this is like a present indefinite tense. So that's present indefinite. So that's also pretty clear. So folks who just joined, we are just getting started on today's class. The topic is like planning a trip in Hindi. And the first kind of sentences or the structures that we are learning is how do you say let's go to a particular place? Let's go to Peru, or let's go to New York, let's go to Agra, or let's go to Kerala, right? Uh, I think I think only the first part is kind of that new to our class. I'm very positive that most of you will be able to say um, the second half of the sentence, right? So to keep it simple, if you really want to keep it like really simple, it's basically you're talking about let us, right? So it would be plural, right? So let's say if I'm talking about New York, it will be New York चलते हैं. New York चलते हैं, right? It's चलते because you're talking about we, or in this case us, basically plural, right? So it's New York चलते हैं. If you want to be really specific, you can even say चलो New York चलते हैं. And it's chalo basically to kind of like have if you really want to factor letters as well. both of them are correct. New York chalte hain is also correct, and chalo New York chalte hain is also correct. You can use either ways. Okay. Um, so just to write down some more examples here. So it's like, you're sitting with a group of friends and you are planning for a trip and you want to throw something out there, right? So bunch of people are throwing different ideas. Some are saying Kerala chalte hain, like let's go to Kerala. There are a lot of beaches there, right? Some people are saying Himalayas chalte hain. Himalayas chalte hain. Or some people can even say Andaman. Andaman is like an island in the Indian Ocean. So Andaman chalte hain. Okay, so just remember the structure, and pretty much you can replicate it across any particular city you want to make the sentence with. Um, just remember, similar to last time, we are adding a new structure in the class where I'll be asking you to write down a short paragraph about your trip that you plan to make, right? So in the last class we did something interesting, right? A critique or a review of a movie. So I'll leave the last 10 minutes of this class where I can kind of I'll stop the broadcasting and I'll give you the opportunity to kind of like, I'm sure some of you already picked up a movie. So you will go over the critique or the sentences that you kind of like wrote. That will also give you some more confidence, and if there are any things, I'm definitely going to suggest if there are some corrections. So similar to last time, the idea here is like, by the end of this class, I want you all to be able to, plan a trip. Okay. So that's the first one. Kerala chalte hain, Himalayas chalte hain, or Andamans chalte hain. Okay. Now this is kind of what? This kind of answers what to do, right? So that's like our case one. If you want to make it a little bit more complicated, so let's say you're proposing this thing to your friends that let's go do this activity. uh, One of the first response, their response could be when, which is kab, right? कब चलते हैं और कब कब जाएंगे, right? So it'll be कब. Jana is to go, but because it's a future indefinite, you'll be saying कब जाएंगे, कब जाएंगे. Okay, remember it. The verb is jana. Jana is to go, but जाएंगे is like will go. When will we go? हम कब जाएंगे? Okay, so that's a case two. I'll continue the case two. So we'll continue case two here. कब जाएंगे? So answer could be, in English you can simply say in summer or in winter, right? Or you can even say during rainy season. Right? So most of you are still already familiar that whenever you're using these, this is like a postposition in Hindi called may, right? May. So if you were to rewrite the entire sentence, in Hindi, you can, or even you can propose, let's say the same sentence that we wrote in case one, Kerala chalte hain, like, and let's go to Kerala in summer, right? Or let's go to Kerala in winter, right? So you can say sardi mein or sardiyon mein, in winters, सर्दियों में केरला चलते हैं, which pretty much means in English it would be preposition, right? So in winters, let's go to Kerala. Make sense? So let's say in the same way, if you were to write it, if I were to give you a quick quiz, and you have to make a quick sentence like, let's go to Himalayas in summer. So I'm just going to give you some time. Take like a minute, and then write it down in Hindi. How will you say that? Okay, good, right? गर्मी में हिमालय चलते हैं, right? गर्मी में हिमालय चलते हैं. Some people some people always refers as like plural, even like garmi, it's a singular, but when you're saying it in casually, you will say in summers, right? Sometimes you say that it's incorrect, and because you're using plural and plural with a postposition, then it becomes an oblique case. So then it becomes garmiyon mein, right? So it'll be garmiyon mein, similar to what I had here, sardiyon mein, right? Either way is correct depending on how you're saying it. If you want to keep it simple, you can say गर्मी में हिमालय चलते हैं और सर्दी में केरला चलते हैं. But if you're saying it in a plural sense, then definitely remember that plural with a postposition becomes an oblique case, right? So if I were to give you another example, right? So लड़का is a singular and लड़के is plural, boys, right? But if I'm using ladka with a postposition, right? Let's say a boy has a toy, right? Uh, and you're using के पास toy है, right? Whereas you're using के पास toy है. You just make sure that okay. So let's say you have these two sentences, right? Ladka singular, के पास toy है. So whenever you are using a postposition, in this case, ladka becomes ladke. So your sentence will be, the first one will be लड़के के पास खिलौना, or you can say toy है, right? And this one where you have लड़के plural, so even though it's plural लड़के, but because you have a postposition, लड़के becomes लड़कों, right? So it will be लड़कों के पास toy और खिलौना है. right? So that's the second one, right? I mean, where I kind of cover um, when you're making a trip, you mentioned what. That was our case one. That Kerala chalte hain. Case one. Case two was kind of when. So this was what? क्या करते हैं? Second one was when. So like summer में, winter में, सर्दियों में, all kind of scenarios, right? Now the third case that I plan to cover when you're making a trip in Hindi. Primarily, whenever you are proposing something to your friend, they'll say, "Okay, what will we do there?" And then you kind of discuss different kind of activities. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in this particular section, primarily because it helps you learn a lot of verbs as well, right? So the first thing in case three is what will we do there? What will we do there? So let's say you proposed to your friend, let's go to Kerala. Kerala chalte hain. And they are asking you, what will we do there? So before I even go into the detail, let's say I'm going to take a quick, like a 1 minute break to see, can you think of how will you say this sentence in Hindi? What will we do there? Verb is to do, karna. So I'm going to take a quick pause here. Okay. There. Anyone else? Very good. So it's pretty much like हम, we, वहाँ, there, what is क्या, and verb is करना, but in future indefinite it will be करेंगे. हम वहाँ क्या करेंगे? Right, that's a verb. हम वहाँ क्या करेंगे? Now, even though this is formal, you'll see sometimes people simply say वहाँ क्या करेंगे? Especially if you're talking among your friends, वहाँ क्या करेंगे? And it's implied that you're talking, the pronoun is hum. You don't really have to, kind of explicitly mention it. So even if you're while talking among your friends, you're saying वहाँ क्या करेंगे? That's correct as well. Okay. So now let's come to the answers, right? I mean, what kind of things or activities you'll do to a touristy place, right? Um, so that's our case three. Um, for some of these activities, we have like a particular word in Hindi. For some of those, you can use English word as well. So, for example, camping, right? Um, if you want to say we will just camp there, we will camp there, right? So one would be you can say camping करेंगे, right? There is a word for camping, but that's not like the camping which we kind of think of whenever you're making a camping trip in US, right? The closest word is shivir, right? In Hindi, but that's not like shivir is kind of like it has a different connotation. So I would simply say, or even when I have, if you read the newspaper, they write camping, in the Devanagari script, basically. So they'll say ka with a, you know, pa with e, and then na, and then g, camping. That's how you'll see in the newspaper, camping karenge, right? Um, so wherever the word is very difficult, and if you're not able to come up with it, you can simply use the English word with karenge. Karenge is to do, right? That will be fine, right? Um, for some of these things, we have a proper word, so you can use those. So that's the first one. Um, the second one I have is hiking per se. Hiking. So the common knowledge says that we can simply say hiking karenge. That's the easiest one. Hiking karenge. If you want to write it very specifically, you can say pahad par चढ़ेंगे. Chadna is to climb, right? Pahad is mountain, right? Mountain, and then per is your post position on. So we'll climb on mountain, or you can say, um, you even say चढ़ाई करेंगे. Bear with me if these are kind of new words for you, and you're finding it a little difficult. But once you go over it again, it'll be easier. So the easiest one would be hiking karenge. If you don't want to add any complications, hiking karenge. If you are doing any kind of like if you're trying to do the hike on a small mountain, you can say pahad par chadenge, right? If you don't want to refer to it as a mountain, if you're saying that we'll just climb on a height or something, you can say chadhai karenge. And karenge again, it's a verb. Karna is to do in Hindi, and but when you're saying it in future indefinite, it's karenge, chadhai karenge. Okay. Let me take some of the easier one, so that way we can get some more confidence here. So let's say you want to, when you're going to Kerala, you want to do some swimming activities. So you want to say we will swim there. Okay. We will play golf, and um, we will see or visit some touristy places, right? So we'll see or visit some places. Okay, so I'm gonna take quick a minute kind of a break here to see if you can come up with a Hindi sentence for any of them. Okay, okay, you can jump to the second one also if you're done with the first one. Okay, third one. Okay. So almost all of you got it right. So the first one is we will swim there. The first one is either, if it is difficult for you to remember swim, either you can say hum wahan swim करेंगे. That's the easiest one. If you are not able to recall the word for swimming, right? If you know the verb to swim is तैरना, right? So to swim is तैरना. And if you want to use that verb specifically, you can say हम वहाँ तैरेंगे. Okay, हम वहाँ तैरेंगे. Okay, you can make it a little bit more complicated. हम वहाँ पानी में तैरेंगे, in water, right? You can use we will swim in a clean water. So हम वहाँ साफ पानी में तैरेंगे. Okay, um, um, even more complicated. हम वहाँ साफ पानी में बहुत देर तैरेंगे. That we will swim in a clear water for for a long time, right? So our principle is always the same. Start very simple. Start with a very basic sentence, and then try to make it gradually complicated. That's much easier that way, and the likelihood is that you'll be able to gain more confidence, and you'll not make any kind of smaller grammatical mistakes anyways, right? So you'll be fine there. Okay, so that's the first one. हम वहाँ तैरेंगे. Next one, we will play golf. To play is खेलना, right? Um, we don't really have like a word like a golfing, so it's simply you have to say हम वहाँ golf खेलेंगे. हम वहाँ golf खेलेंगे, right? There is Hindi word for some of the some of the games. So such as let's say horse riding. If you're going to a touristy place and if you want to do some horse riding, right? You can say, so whenever there's a word called, let's say, horse riding, horse is goda, right? But whenever you're saying horse riding, it's like good savari, good savari, right? Savari is kind of like the common word for any kind of carriage ride, right? So you can say हम वहाँ गुड़ सवारी करेंगे. Um, let me write it down first, and then I can. So it'll be हम वहाँ गुड़ सवारी करेंगे. Or if you find it difficult, you can say हम वहाँ घोड़े की सवारी करेंगे. घोड़ा is a horse. Key is off, so हम वहाँ घोड़े की सवारी करेंगे. What about if you are taking like an elephant ride? So let's say you're going to my hometown, like close to my hometown, Udaipur, right? There are a lot of elephants there, and you can really do the elephant, ride there, right there, right? How do you say that? Elephant is hathi, and they really, you know, make you sit on an elephant, and you will go across the lake. It's pretty nice. So how do you say that? Let's say. Let me take a quick break and see if you can come up with a very good, right? So it will be हम वहाँ हाथी की Let me kind of make some space here. हम वहां, elephant will come here, हाथी की सवारी करेंगे. हम वहां हाथी की सवारी करेंगे. Right? Um, Similarly, if you're doing a camel ride, let's say you're going to Jaisalmer, which is the again from Rajasthan, northwest part of Rajasthan, Jaisalmer, and in the desert they have a lot of camels, right? So let's see, you want to say that let's go to Jaisalmer, we will do some camel rides there. I'm going to take a quick break again here to see if you can come up with it. If you don't know the Hindi word for camel, you can simply say हम वहाँ camel की सवारी करेंगे. But if you know the Hindi word for it, you can try that, or you can even ask that. Anyone remember how to use the formula? Okay, हम वहाँ camel की सवारी करेंगे. Okay, very good, right? So camel is oont. So think of it as like OONTH, oont, oont, right? So it will be हम वहाँ, instead of हाथी you will have ऊंट. हम वहाँ ऊंट की सवारी करेंगे. Okay, so I'm trying to cover different kind of like activities, and that's why I told you that case 3 will be the place where you'll be spending a lot more, where we'll be spending a lot more time. Any other rides you can think of, you let me know, and we can kind of cover those as well. But primarily, I can think of horse rides, I can think of elephant, I can think of camel, but if there's anything else, we can definitely cover those as well. Okay, okay. Ferry to elephant. Okay, so you can, if you want to say that we'll take a ferry. So let's say, so the third one, let me do that, and then I'll come to the ferry. Okay, the third one you have is like we will see some places, right? So you can say hum wahan, as most of you rightly pointed out. Hum wahan, kuch places is jagah hai, kuch jagah hai. So if you're talking about places, jagah you will be saying plural. कुछ जगहों or जग. So if you're using a postposition, you will be saying जगहों. If you're just simply saying places, जगहें देखेंगे. You will be seeing some places. Okay, you will be seeing some places. Now that's the third one, right? Now we'll do a lot more miscellaneous activities here, because especially when you're going to any place, there are many reasons, right? Some of the reasons, simple reasons, can be like um, camping, hiking, swimming, to see the touristy places, to play golf and all. There are some other kind of like typical places as well. For some of the places, you go there like for spiritual reasons as well, right? So if you're going to see some of the temples, to kind of like so in Hindi you will call it हम वहाँ दर्शन करेंगे. And darshan is basically, it's used primarily if you want to um, what do you call it? Um, it's basically to, you're going to holy places, but darshan means like you want to see them. Uh, to see them, basically you'll be seeing the um, what do you call it? The temples. You're seeing the temples, and you are taking kind of, you know a spiritual trip to those places. So the bottom line is like, the common word you can use is like darshan karenge. Okay. Um, the next one is like, let's say you want to see some of the forts, right? If you're going to, some of the places where there is old, um, like, some kind of like a history there. So you can say we will see some forts there. So हम वहाँ किला देखेंगे. Kila is a fort, and if you're using plural, it will be किले. हम वहाँ किले देखेंगे. So you're right, Liz. I was not able to, I couldn't think of the word pray, but actually, darshan means to pray, right? हम वहाँ दर्शन करेंगे. So fort is, किला, and forts is किले. So हम वहाँ किला देखेंगे. Um, and even, one of the interesting thing is like, in English you will say fort of something, right? In Hindi it would be, it will be said as Jaisal Mir, which is like a place, ka kila, Jaisalmer ka kila. You can either, I would say you write it as Qila, kila, Jaisalmer ka kila, right? Or you can say, let's say another place, Jodhpur ka kila, right? Again, it's a post position, so it'll be coming after. So, but any place where you have kila, you can say, um, or maybe Udaipur ka kila. Again, all these are places. Okay, um, and they have a name also, but if you remember even with the name of the city, it still will help you, right? Um, so I hope this is clear. One comment that came from Chrissy was, we'll take a ferry. So we will take, what was that? We'll take a ferry to Elephanta. Okay. So we will take Elephanta ferry. So let's say you are in, Bombay, and you are close to the Hotel Taj, and there's a ferry that goes from Hotel Taj to the, Elephanta Caves. So you'll say hum wahan. Either you can say Elephanta की ferry लेंगे, because you're saying the verb is to take, right? So हम वहाँ Elephanta की ferry लेंगे. Sorry, I think it's a ferry. हम वहाँ Elephanta की ferry लेंगे. um some of the other activities, like, some places are known for their food, right? So especially whenever you're making a trip, right, some of the trip reasons could be that you want to go there to, because they're known for their, like, let's say seafood, or other kind of like appetizers like charts, right? So there are many reasons could be those around those as well, right? So हम वहाँ, let's say if you're going to Kerala, you can say हम वहाँ डोसा खाएंगे, right? So खाना is to eat. To eat is खाना, but in future it will be खाएंगे. हम वहाँ डोसा खाएंगे, right? Some places again, like even in India, some places are known for their seafoods. Um, so you can use for that as well. Um, Anything else that comes to your mind, a particular reason for a trip, we can cover those as well. But I think we did quite a lot. But let me take a quick break to see if you can think of any other miscellaneous topics. Okay, visit relatives. What else? Okay, so here you are saying we will visit relatives. Let's see if you guys can. Um, okay, okay, that's pretty good. So let's start with this one. We will visit relatives. How will you say that? Let me take a quick 30-second break to see if you can come up with it. Okay, okay. Hindi में. Okay, so good, right? So relative is रिश्तेदार, रिश्तेदार, right? But so for example, you're saying that we'll visit our relatives, right? So rishtedar, right? So if you're visiting only one rishtedar, you'll say रिश्तेदार से मिलेंगे, right? But if you're saying plural, you're visiting many rishtedars, it will be रिश्तेदारों से मिलेंगे, right? To visit is milna, but when you're saying it in future indefinite, you're saying milenge, right? Family is parivar, right? So whenever you're saying we'll visit our family, so हम परिवार, right? You'll say हम परिवार से मिलेंगे और परिवार वालों से मिलेंगे. You can say that. Okay. So the next one is you said um, we will go to Gujarat to visit our sponsored child. Okay. So let's do that as well. It's a little difficult, but we'll cover that. So the next one is we will visit our sponsored child. So to keep it simple, I'm just going to simply say sponsored. Okay, हम वहाँ, because you use are, you'll say अपने. हम वहाँ अपने sponsored बच्चे से मिलेंगे. Please note that the say here is referring to with. Okay, with in English. If you're thinking that I don't see a with here, but so that will kind of help you. हम वहाँ अपने sponsored बच्चे से मिलेंगे. Now that this is clear, the word for sponsor, it will not really fit here, but it's prayojit. I have to see whether it will really fit here, prayojit, but in general, prayojit is like if you're sponsoring a program or something like that, it will definitely fit there. I'll look up to see if prayojit, it will make sense in the case of a kid as well, right? Okay, but if you're sponsoring a program or like an event, you can say prayojit. Okay, good. So we just have about 11 more minutes, and I want to take the last 10 minutes to open it up for any kind of uh, the topic that we did last time. Okay, I'll just do one more case 4, and then I'll open it up for our last week's homework exercise. So the case 4 is how will we go there? How will we go there? Right? So the Hindi version would be kaise. So this is kind of mode of transportation, right? So how is kaise? And jana is to go, but because you're using future indefinite, so it will be kaise jayenge. Either you can say हम वहाँ कैसे जाएंगे, or you can say कैसे जाएंगे, right? And the possible responses are हम वहाँ पैदल जाएंगे. So पैदल is kind of like will walk, right? By foot, right? पैदल चलना is to walk. Okay. हम वहाँ बस से जाएंगे. We'll go by bus. So it's by walk. This is by bus. Okay. Or you can say हम वहाँ ट्रेन से जाएंगे. We'll go there by train. और हम वहाँ प्लेन से और हवाई जहाज से जाएंगे. And pretty much, if you can think of, you can, now that you've gone through the earlier sentences also, you can fit any of these in your existing sentences, right? For example, you can say, हम सर्दियों में केरला प्लेन से जाएंगे. That will go to Kerala in winters via plane or by plane, right? So the whole idea is to go systematic, start very simple, and then gradually start building up. I hope this is clear. This will help you plan any trip in Hindi. So for next class, based on the 4 cases that we covered, write down about 5 or 6 sentences regarding any trip that you want to make, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So like I said, I'm gonna stop broadcasting now, so that way we can go over the exercises from last class. and take any questions. So folks who are watching online, let's meet again next Sunday. Thank you so much for joining.